behind me is a 2007 1.9 CTDI Vauxhall Vectra. I got in it this morning, tried to start it, and it's a dead flat battery. I put another charge on it, and about half an hour it went flat, dead flat again. So I think what we've got here, we've got a parasitic draw on the battery. A parasitic draw is a drain on the battery that's not usually intended. For example, you lock the car up and walk away as normal, and you return the next day or a few hours later on, and you've got a flat battery. That's because one of the circuits in the car has gone open circuit, and the switch controlling it is no longer applicable to that circuit. So what we've got to do now is to try and ascertain which circuit has got that parasitic draw on it. Because you can't see electricity, it's hard to tell which circuit it is on. So if you imagine that we will pretend the circuit's a hose pipe with water flowing around it in a circle. You can't see the water inside of it, can you? But if you put, say, a balloon in there, right, you can see when water passes through it because the balloon expands. And that's what we kind of need to do with this circuit in the car. And we use an amp meter. So you put an amp meter in series, and that will measure the amount of electron flow through the ammeter to see where the circuit that's gone on per circuit is. Right, so we're going to need one of these. This is a multimeter, and it's capable of testing between 0 and 10 amps, this one. Ideally, you need one capable of testing up to about 20 amps. You've got to set it up properly. You need one in the common. This is the wrong way around. So we're going to stick the black one in the common, COM, and then the red one in the appropriate output. Here, it's on the left-hand side of the meter, and it's marked 10A, 10 amps. So put it in, make sure they're all pushed down firmly, and move the dial around to the appropriate setting. Here it's at 10 amps. What we now need to do with the meter properly set up is take the terminal off the negative side of the battery and put the meter in line with it to measure the amount of amperage flowing over the two. So if you look at the meter, we'll stick it on and see what we got. Wow, look at that, look, 8 amps flowing across that. That is a significant draw with the key out of the ignition. So now what we need to do is find out where this draw is coming from. In order to find where the parasitic draw is coming from, what we now need to do is keep the meter on the circuit, so keep it connected to the battery, and pull out each individual fuse in the fuse boxes. In this Vectra there's 3, there's one in the engine bay, one in the left-hand passenger side compartment, and one in the boot. What we're looking for is the drop in current at the multimeter when we pull a certain fuse. So say for example this parasitic draw was on the cigarette lighter. When we pull the cigarette lighter fuse, we would expect the multimeter reading to drop significantly, and when it does, we know we found our problem. So let's go and pull a fuse or two. What we're going to do now is pull each one of these fuses and relays to see whether the value on that multimeter drops. And if it does, we found the circuit that the draw is on. No. 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 This is quite a high draw, to be honest. No. 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 Quite a boring process, isn't it? No. Relay. No. No. Nope. Then, where's next? No. No. Nope. Nope. No. 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 Nope. Nope. Ooh. Oh. That just went up. How can it go up? Right, so what we've done now, we've pulled all the fuses out in the engine bay and the multimeter value has not dropped. So therefore, the parasitic drain is not in the engine bay or on the engine bay circuits. So we'll go into the passenger side fuse box and continue there. No, it's not in this fuse box either, so it must be in the back one. Let's go and pull some fuses in the back. Well, we've been through all the fuse boxes in the car and we cannot find this parasitic drain, can we? So, what next? Right, what we'll do now, we'll check the alternator connections. Sometimes if the diodes fail in an alternator, the current will bleed back up into the alternator. So we'll take the connection off and see if the voltage drops. The alternator is located down here. This is the front left-hand side. It's at the back of the belt there. I can see that. The nut. 13 mil. A bit awkward to get to. Right, that's that off. That came off reasonably easy. And we'll just check the meter reading again now. Hopefully we found the problem. Although I don't fancy replacing the alternator. What do you reckon, yes or no? No! Look at that. Gone up again. Right then. I've just put the bolt back on the alternator. It's becoming a bit of a problem, this one, isn't it? So we've checked all the fuse boxes and the possibility of a diode gone in the alternator, which it isn't that. We're looking for something that's got an open circuit. So I think what we should do now is try the glow plugs. Right, keep an eye on that meter. These are the right pain to get to these, to be honest. So what, let's start from the other side. There we go. From the back of the fuel rail. Fantastically awkward. Right. One off. Change. No. Right, second one. There we go, is that gone? Hey, look at that. There it is. Glow plug number 2. That's gone open circuit. Tell you what, we'll just put it back on to make sure. That'll be easier said than done. Put it back on. Hey, look at that. There we go. Off. Yeah. So it's glow plug number 2 that's creating our parasitic draw. That means we've got to change them out. Might as well change all 4 while we're in there. Well, we found it. That took some time, didn't it? The fault was on glow plug number 2. First of all, we started by placing a meter inline on the amp settings to measure the current flow through the meter. We then pulled each individual fuse in fuse box number 1 under the engine, or in the engine bay. We then moved on to the glove box fuse box and pulled every fuse there, and still there was no sign that we'd found the draw. So then we moved to the rear fuse box and did the same, and we couldn't find the source of the draw. So then we thought it may be the alternator. A diode had gone in the alternator and the current was bleeding back up through to energize it, but that was not the case. And then we moved on to the glow plugs, and that's where the fault was found. So it's not particularly difficult. And the thing is with electrical stuff, because you kind of can't see it, you think you can't fix it. But the key to this was that multimeter. So put the multimeter in line, and then we can kind of see it, we can see what's happening. I'll replace the glow plugs now and carry on with the old vectra. Thank you, and goodbye.